que soit la couleur de notre peau.
Now, if I were to tell you that black ones had a great culture which exceeded the culture of white, you probably find that pretty incredible. But we're talking about the ignored truths of history. Now, if I were to tell you that blacks, for as many centuries as whites have been superior, if you want, in the Western world, and for just as many centuries blacks were superior, you'd probably find that hard to believe. And you'd wonder how such a fact could be hidden. And the answer is, again, collusion. The whites wouldn't want to admit such a thing, because whites like to feel superior and like to think that their superiority is somehow permanent, decreed by God. As for blacks, if you look into the black civilizations that we're going to take a look at momentarily, you find something pretty interesting. You find that those civilizations actually arose as Jewish civilizations, later to become Islamic civilizations. Let's talk a little bit about black history, and let's start with a map. This is a map of the area around the Mediterranean Sea. Up here we have Europe. Here's Africa. A second Islamic empire arose down here. This empire also went under different names, and here are the names. Originally it was called Ghana, but not the Ghana of today. A huge mass of land, which we're going to show you in a minute. Later it came to be called the Kingdom of Mali. And finally, at around the time of Columbus, it was called the Kingdom of Songhai. Songhai being the name of an African tribe which conquered the territory. 3 different names, but all really the same kingdom. A kingdom comprising the area from Senegal over here, all the way across the fertile sub-Saharan region to Chad, and well into the Sahara Desert. Again, an area almost the size of Western Europe. Now, I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but I'm pointing now to a river. This river flows from the mountains coming originally from Senegal, first east and then south. It's called the Niger River. And along the shores of the Niger River arose a civilization which eventually became the center of civilization in the Western world. Its headquarters was here. This is a city called Timbuktu, right here in the heart of Africa, on the shores of the Niger River. In other words, this was a city of niggers, some people would like to call them. But they outdid white. Europe at this time was a mess. There was no real civilization to speak of. The Renaissance was just starting at the time that Timbuktu, down in the heart of so-called darkest Africa, was the center of world civilization. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? Not only is it possible, it was true. And if you don't believe it, look it up in any encyclopedia. Now, in the year 710 AD, a fellow by this name, let's get him to stand up a little better, Tariq ibn Ziyad, means Tariq of Ziyad. Tariq was, I believe, Moroccan. This is Morocco over here. In other words, he was a Moor, a man from Morocco. This whole North African empire, Islamic empire, came to be called the Moors, or in Shakespeare, the Black Moors. Sounds like we had some black people there, huh? Let's talk about Spain during the Middle Ages. I want to read something to you. I want to read you a little passage about Moorish Spain as Europe's cultural center. Although the white Christians of Spain deeply desired during this entire period to expel the black Moors from their country, it is nevertheless an undisputed historical fact that medieval Spain was the cultural, educational, and scientific center of Europe. The Moorish kings lived in castles of highly polished marble, with elaborately carved walls and beautiful mosaic floors, while European kings lived in cold, damp castles of unfinished stone, crude by comparison. The Moors possessed all the knowledge of ancient Greece, which was lost to Europe until the Renaissance. They made important contributions to philosophy, medicine, mathematics, chemistry, astronomy, and botany. Doesn't sound like such a dark age after all, does it? There were academies for the rich, free schools for the poor, and libraries containing books from all over the world. Now we're going to ask a very important question. During the Middle Ages, were Spain's Muslim rulers really black? It's almost inevitable that white people who have never been taught black history will ask this question. Were they really black? After all, Moors are kind of Arabic. They're not really Negro, are they? And the answer to the question is that there was more than one race involved. Again, as I told you before, in the beginning, there was the Umayyad dynasty, and they were mainly Arabic, although there were some blacks there. But by about the time of the Crusades, the Umayyad dynasty became soft and complacent, and the forces of Christianity were rising up in Spain and threatening to overthrow Islam. A second dynasty of kings arose called the Almoravids. They came out of Senegal, which is right in the middle of Africa. That's about as black as you can get. They conquered Spain, and they were the rulers from then until the end. Centuries. There's no question that Spain was ruled by blacks, at least during the latter part of the Middle Ages. So the answer to the question is yes, Spain was ruled by blacks during the period when it was indisputably the cultural, scientific, and educational center of Europe, believe it or not. Before proceeding, I want to show you a few books. This book is called From Babylon to Timbuktu, written by Rudolph Windsor. I've spoken to Rudolph Windsor a few times. He's a great writer, and he takes the history of the sub-Saharan black empires as well as the northern Saharan black empires and makes it pretty readable. All the information in this book can be verified in any encyclopedia. Here's another book which is a big source of information for me. It's called World's Great Men of Color. It was written by J.A. Rogers, one of the great black writers of the early 20th century. Finally, here's a book that I'd love to be able to talk about, but I doubt there'll be time. It's called The Sign and the Seal by Graham Hancock. It was a bestseller for its genre not too long ago. It tells the story of the Ark of the Covenant. And if you're like me, by the time you finish this book, you're going to believe, as the author believes, that the Ark of the Covenant is in Ethiopia, where it's been for thousands of years. That is, God, if Mr. Hancock is correct, gave the Ark of the Covenant to niggers. Think about that. Of course, a lot of people don't believe that. I'm not 100% sure it's true myself, but I'm about 90% convinced. Now, the slightly out-of-focus map on the left-hand side of your screen shows the approximate boundaries of the medieval Great Black Sub-Saharan Kingdom, known variously as Ghana, and then Mali, and later Songhai, all the same kingdom, a rather large kingdom. The yellow color shows the modern nation of Mali, which is, of course, much smaller. And right in the midst of it is a large black arrow showing the location of Timbuktu, the biggest city of that nation. I'd like to read you something about Timbuktu. This kingdom was originally called the Kingdom of Ghana. From about 300 AD up to the time of the Crusades, Ghana was a Jewish nation. This has been documented by the writings of one Eldad Danite, whose works constitute the main historical source of information for this time and place. This was a Jewish kingdom. Did you know that there were Jewish kingdoms in Africa?
This little village in Zimbabwe is a long way from the Holy Land, but DNA evidence says that the Lembe tribe which lives here are direct descendants of an ancient line of Jewish priests who fled the Middle East over 2,000 years ago. According to Lemba pastor Perez Tamadishi, the DNA tests have legitimized their long-claimed ancestry.
History is in the unfortunate thing has been recorded. There are no written documents about our history, but all our ancestors, our forefathers, will tell us about our history. They say that we came from Israel.
The findings are the work of a British scholar who spent 2 decades researching the Lemba. Professor Tudor Parfit of the School of Oriental and African Studies in London says that though the genetic link is remarkable, one of the Lemba's holy artifacts might be an even more important discovery.
It was an extraordinary moment to see that these oral traditions, which seemed so unlikely and so dodgy, were actually confirmed by hard science. And it was at that moment that I realized that their stories about the Ngoma, which they associated with the Ark of the Covenant, and which, in terms of its functionality, was exactly the same thing, I thought, well, they said that their priests brought it from the Middle East. These priests shared the signature with Jewish priests who are now shown to be descended from the Jerusalem priests. There must be a connection.
Throughout history, they have been a persecuted people, enslaved, massacred, and discriminated against. The Jewish people have been scattered to the most remote parts of the earth.
The history of the Jewish people in Ethiopia goes back several thousand years, goes back all the way to the relationship between the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon of Israel. And the tradition has been that there has been a Jewish community here known as the Beit Israel for several thousand years.
Beit Israel means house of Israel, members of the house of Israel. We have this name for thousands of years to remind that we belong to Israel, to the Jewish community.
To many, these tribes may seem insignificant, but in fact, the discovery of these tribes and recognition by the Israeli government is seen by some the fulfillment of Bible prophecy, culminating in these tribes returning to Israel one day. Although Israel has already opened their doors to more than 100,000 Ethiopian Jews, thousands more remain outcast due to controversy over their conversion to Orthodox Christianity.
From deep inside Africa, a sound is emanating that is causing reverberations around the world. It's the sound of Judaism. A sound of the people casting off 2 centuries of colonialism, returning to what they say are their native roots.
I know for that I'm a Jew. Only I know that my forefather missed the way.
I grew up alongside every other Igbo youth. We kept on hearing that Igbo people came from Israel.
There was a story my mom told me at the age of 6 years. I never forget. He said, Igbos are Jews.
And it's a story of one man, Shmuel, who went searching for what that meant and found answers on the internet, prompting a journey that led him to a community of thousands of Jews. A place where resources are few, but commitment transcends. To prayer, practice, ritual, diet, and song. But this is also the sound of doubt from Jews in America.
They would ask me, are you from America? Or I would say, no, I'm a Nigerian. They say, you black? I said, no, it's not true.
And rejection from family and friends.
I am like an outcast among them.
This is the story of the Igbo, 25 million strong, a people once under siege by their very own government.
Biafra declared its independence.
And a people once captured and shipped across the Atlantic by the hundreds of thousands. A people who helped build America, and a people whose descendants are now discovering their Igbo roots, raising questions of cultural identity for countless African Americans.
Many African Americans actually do not know that they have Igbo heritage. The chances of their being Igbo is much, much higher than their chances of coming from Ghana or from Western Nigeria.
If you're from the right county in Virginia, you probably have a 60% chance of having Igbo ancestry.
It's a story of the strength of belief, ancestry, and community. Boosted by a visitor who inspires everyone and helps take Shemuel's dreams to a whole new reality. The Jews of Nigeria are re-emerging.
Lors d'une précédente émission, nous avons pu suivre deux rabbins franco-israéliens dans leur aventure en Côte d'Ivoire à la découverte du peuple d'An Yakuba, une ethnie africaine de près de 2 millions de personnes qui prétendent être descendants de Dan, l'une des 10 tribus perdues d'Israël. Aujourd'hui, nous allons en apprendre plus sur ce peuple vivant caché dans les montagnes de Côte d'Ivoire, son histoire, ses pratiques, ses liens avec Israël et le peuple hébreu.
On essaye de voir dans quelle mesure il y aurait des coutumes communes entre Israël et les dents d'aujourd'hui.
Et il est important que nous puissions vous comprendre, que nous puissions savoir comment vous vivez pour voir quelles sont les différences ou les similitudes, les façons immédiates que vous avez de vivre par rapport à nous en Israël, de génération en génération, et voir ce qui est resté profondément ancré.
L'habillement traditionnel que vous avez, c'est la même chose que nous.
Est-ce qu'en tant que Dan, il vous est déjà arrivé de parler entre vous d'Israël et des rapports que vous avez avec Israël?
Nos parents disent que nous sommes venus du nord du pays de Dieu. Et c'est plus tard qu'on a appris que l'Israël a été le pays que Dieu a visité.
D'abord, nos patriarches, certains patriarches qui étaient là, qui sont des patriarches qui ne sont pas forcément intellectuels, mais qui sont quand même cultivés sur le plan culturel. Ils reconnaissaient que nous venions de l'Orient. Ça, dès l'enfance, on reconnaît cela. Mais ils ne savaient pas effectivement si on était de source hébraïque ou non.
Les soirs au clair de lune, le plus âgé de la famille, il appelle les jeunes. Ils font la ronde devant lui, lui est en face. Et puis il raconte les histoires passées.
Ce soir, nous avons parmi nous un David. C'est son nom.
C'est comme ça, nous tous, on a eu des histoires.
Genre d'histoire qui...
Bon, moi, j'ai ma grand-mère, hein, la maman de mon papa, qui m'a raconté l'histoire de, comment on appelle ça, la tour de Babel, la toute première fois. Elle m'a raconté qu'avant, voici ce qui s'était passé. Et Dieu a dispersé l'humanité. Dieu a dispersé l'humanité, c'est là il a donné les ethnies. Il a commencé, le Yakuba est là, le Tantan est là, et pour ne pas se comprendre, pour se séparer, c'est ma grand-mère qui m'a dit ça pour la toute première fois.
Et à ton avis, d'où ta grand-mère a su ça?
Bon, elle a dit aussi, ce sont ses grands-pères qui ont raconté ça. Voilà, et donc, chez le Dan...
C'est pas... elle n'a pas lu...
Non, elle n'a pas lu. Non, bon, il n'y a pas d'écriture.
Elle ne savait pas lire.
Voilà, et donc c'est comme ça que nous tous, et même les doyens...
Alors, est-ce qu'il y a encore des histoires comme ça que vous racontez par rapport au passé?
Oui, il y en a trop.
Alors, on ne peut pas prendre un mot comme ça dans le vide pour donner. Même les historiens comme Noël Oukou, qui sont les grands historiens ivoiriens, ils ont dit les Danites, hein, et leur langue, on dit dans au premier, ça veut dire ceux qui parlent la langue dedans. Mais la langue dedans, c'est l'hébreu. C'est l'hébreu. 90% des mots Danites, c'est l'hébreu.
Alors, pour moi, la ressemblance, d'abord, c'est le fait de ces termes en hébreu. Ça, c'était des termes en hébreu qui me paraissaient tout à fait marquants, parce que dans un patois, on n'a pas l'habitude de mettre des termes hébreux, c'est-à-dire que c'est vraiment le langage limité.
j'ai commencé à comparer les mots. Voilà. Et en hébreu, on dit Bereshit, mais chez nous, on dit Brassi. Vous voyez, c'est presque les mêmes racines, les mêmes façons. Yahweh, on dit Yahweh. Donc, chez nous, Yahweh, c'est Yahweh. Hein? Adonai, Adodang. Alors, tout ça, j'ai commencé à étudier tout un panorama linguistique et avec l'hébreu ancien par rapport à notre langue. Je dis bien l'hébreu ancien parce que ça évolue. Alors, il y a plusieurs similitudes linguistiques comme ça, et il y a plusieurs similitudes culturelles. Et par exemple, les habits que nous portons avec cette bande, qui étaient les habits des Cohen. Et dans ma langue d'Anit en Côte d'Ivoire, les Cohen, on les appelle les Cohen. C'est la même chose.
Non, c'est les dents de l'ouest de la Côte d'Ivoire qui ont conservé ces noms-là. Sinon, les dents, il y en a un peu partout. Moi, je n'ai pas parcouru un peu quelques pays où il y a les dents. Mais c'est les dents de moi, la région des montagnes, qui a conservé le nom dents.
On l'appelle dents, mais l'autre nom aussi, c'est Yakuba.
C'est Yakuba.
On a deux noms.
Yakuba et dents.
D'après vous, qu'est-ce que ça signifie?
Yakuba, chez nous, ça, normalement, c'est la contraction de Banou, c'est-à-dire enfant. C'est les enfants de Yakou. Ouais. Les enfants de Yakou. Yakou Banou.
C'est qui Yakou?
Bon,
Jacob.
Jacob, c'est l'un de nos ancêtres. C'est l'ancêtre de Yakuba, des dents.
Les Dan Yakuba seraient donc descendants de Jacob. Mais ont-ils gardé des pratiques d'Israël?
Il prie l'Éternel Dieu. Quand il demande quelque chose, il s'adresse à l'Éternel Dieu. C'est le seul peuple, par exemple en Côte d'Ivoire, les autres, je ne sais pas, c'est le seul peuple qui s'adresse à l'Éternel Dieu. Et on dit Atana, l'Éternel Atana. Et on dit Yahweh. Ou on dit Yahweh. Ou bien Jéhovah. Il est grand. Grand Dieu.
Le Dieu suprême, c'est Atana.
Atana. Ce qui peut correspondre peut-être à Adonai ou bien à Atana.
Je ne peux pas dire qu'au milieu des années, il y en a. Mais en dépit de tout ça, ils considèrent l'Éternel Dieu comme le Dieu unique qu'ils adorent. Et qu'ils venaient, à qui ils apportent l'offrande chaque 7e jour, qui est le jour de sacrifice qu'on appelle Sahaba.
Samedi fait rien, samedi. C'est un jour de repos total. Et ça ne date pas d'aujourd'hui.
Nous sommes quand même, après tout, de sources hébraïques. Ce qu'on a appris dès la jeunesse. Malgré 2700 ans, quand même, on a gardé. On ne peut pas ignorer Dieu.
Mais ce qui est important pour nous, c'est que nous sommes venus vous dire ce soir. Nous qui sommes là, nous sommes prêts à pratiquer le judaïsme. S'il est que nous sommes de la maison de Jacob, ce que nous pensons, c'est avec vraiment beaucoup de conviction que nous ferons, parce qu'il n'y a pas plus grand bonheur pour nous de rejoindre la maison de nos ancêtres.
On a un peuple ici qui s'appelle Dan, fils de Yacoub, qui croit dans un Dieu unique qui s'appelle Yahweh. On n'a pas le droit de prononcer son nom, dont le jour sacré est le samedi, qu'ils appellent d'ailleurs sabbat, qui évidemment font la circoncision, ont des règles de pureté familiale, etc., qui disent ouvertement qu'ils sont descendants des Hébreux, et des tas d'autres preuves historiques, etc. Qu'est-ce qu'il vous faut de plus? Mais il est intéressant de remarquer que les Juifs de Manipur et Mizoram ont été reconnus comme Tsétsaé Israël, c'est-à-dire comme une descendance d'Israël avec l'obligation de se convertir au judaïsme. Or, les preuves qui ont été apportées par les Juifs de Manipur et Mizoram, si belles soient-elles,
paraissent pas plus fortes ou plus impressionnantes que les preuves qui ont été apportées ici. Et après tout, si les Juifs de Manipour et Mizoram ont pu être reconnus comme Tsaï Israël, alors peut-être que eux aussi. Mais cela, seul l'avenir nous le dira.